Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to the KST Healing Hub. I'm Jordania. I'll be your hostess for the day, and today I am thrilled to introduce you to Joe Monteleone, the visionary tarot teacher and founder of the Tarot Mysticism Academy. With years of experience in the mystical arts, Joe has empowered thousands to unlock the profound wisdom of the cards through his intuitive, transformative approach. His academy blends ancient symbolism, ancient wisdom with modern insight, making tarot accessible and life-changing for beginners and masters alike. So get ready. Get ready for an enlightening conversation. Here's Joe. So, welcome, Joe, to the KST Healing Hub. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jordania. You're so kind, and it's such an honor to be here. And I'm so excited to chat with you.
Well, I've got a bunch of questions because I want to know so much about you. I've had the honor of attending your school and love it, recommend it. But what are the origins? As I understand, you were introduced to tarot as a young child. I mean, what was that first encounter like and the ongoing experience of being so young and working with tarot? And how did it plant seeds for the profound path you've walked ever since?
Yeah. Well, I was a weird kid, definitely. But I think the specific event that triggered all of it was my my mother's still alive, but my stepmom, my father's wife, had the idea of getting tarot readings at this fair, at this festival. And I was really young. I must have been not much older than 10. And I thought it was a good idea. And so we all got tarot readings. And I remember sitting across from a woman and she pulled the card. It was a black and white deck. I think nowadays, I think it was the Hermetic Tarot. Now that I think of it. But she pulled these cards in a very unique way. She used the whole tarot deck and she told me all this stuff about my life and what it was going to be like. And I was amazed that she could just pull all that information from cards. And I remember her telling me that I was going to marry a blonde woman and have 3 kids. The chances of that happening are so incredibly low. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm happily partnered to a man. But um, anyway, even that, I was still amazed that she got all this information, and I was obsessed with it since. And I would tell my parents, I was like, I need to go get a tarot deck, and I finally got one. And I started going to the New Age store that was closest to my home, and I would any chance I got, I would go to that store, look at the tarot decks, ask the poor shopkeeper so many questions. Like they were so sweet. They were so supportive of this like little weird kid coming into their shop and asking all these weird questions on esotericism and witchcraft and tarot, and their support and my parents' support allowed me to follow this path. And yeah, and then just got weirder from there.
Phenomenal, meant to be, except the blonde ladies,
Yeah,
who I'm wondering if it was their dreams of you as opposed to your dreams of them.
could be.
Oh my goodness. And the lady that you met, was that your mentor? Because you said, I
No.
believe you met her at the Renaissance Fair, no?
So that's another story, which is actually
Oh,
pretty magical. So my mentor, this is a really fun one. So I went to the Renaissance Fair when I was so a couple of years later. I'm 13 years old. I'm walking through the Renaissance Fair. I'm wearing this like wizard cloak, and I'm thinking like, oh, this place is the best. This is the Renaissance Fair in Tuxedo Park, New York State. I'm thinking this is the most magical place I've ever been in, and I need to make this part of my life. So this was a long time ago. So fast forward like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I'm at the Renaissance Fair again. I'm walking down the same path. They have this path called Mystic's Way, where all of the tarot readers, psychics, astrologers are at. It's the weird part of the Renaissance Fair. So I'm walking down, I'm seeing all these psychics and crystal balls and readers, and I'm thinking to myself, this is where I belong. I need to work here. This would be, oh my God, universe, I need to work here. So I'm thinking that to myself. I'm walking down the path. The last psychic on the left, I look over to her. She looks at me from her booth and she looks at my eyes and she says, "You read tarot, don't you?" And I said, "I do." And then she beckons me over. She said, "Okay, come here, sit down." And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe she'll try to sell me a reading, but she's obviously pretty good, so I'll buy a reading from her. So I sit down across from her. She says, "Read my cards." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." And so I pull out my deck. I give her a short reading. Within 4 minutes, she's like, "You're hired." I'm like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "Yeah, you're hired. Do you have any questions?" And so she hired me to read with her. The next weekend I come, I start reading with her, and as I'm reading with her, I'm like, this woman is like something else. She's amazing. Like she's reading the cards, but she's doing so much more. Like she's real. I'm seeing her like change people's lives. And at that point, I had been studying a lot of material for over a decade, 15 years of study of different things, different mysticism and spiritual traditions. So I knew a lot of stuff, but she was just on another level. And so I started reading with her, and then she slowly kind of became my mentor and my coach and helped me transform my life from there. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And you're still close with her, correct? I mean,
Yeah, I still work with her. She's phenomenal, and she's still a mentor and a teacher and a friend. And yeah,
and
her
she
name's Purim King.
Purim, that's right, Purim King. And yeah, she
Yep.
works with some of your students now because your time is limited and getting even more so. So both of you get to spread this love and this light and this healing. That's amazing. May I ask, you mentioned your biological mom and your stepmom. Was your biological mom, do you know, was she into this type of work as well?
Yeah, so it's interesting. She, over the recent years, she has gotten more into it as I've been going deeper down the rabbit hole of personal development and esotericism and tarot, and she's very open-minded. She's a phenomenal artist. She has many talents, and so she's also very sensitive, an empath. She's a Cancer, so she has been really open to it and she's come to Tarot Mysticism Academy. She's come to classes, and so she's learned tarot from me. She's come to other like seminars I've gone to on energy healing and personal growth stuff, and read some of the books I recommend. So she's kind of been on her own journey as well, which has been so fun.
My gosh, yeah, that is amazing. That is amazing. And you've really bridged that world of tarot with life, with understanding of the universe and everything. So, um, as someone who's bridged all of this, how has that understanding evolved from those early days? I wish I could have met you then. You sound amazing. Those playful discoveries to the layered mysticism that you teach today. Is the kernel the same? Has it
Oh, it's
changed?
that's such a good question. I think that I think the goal has changed and has like the motivation and the goal has changed drastically. Though maybe there's some common denominators underlying all of it. So when I started reading tarot as a kid, I was interested in it because it was so mystical and magical and mysterious. And of course, like many other kids, I wanted superpowers and I wanted to learn telekinesis and how to mess with my aura. And like, so I'm reading books on witchcraft, and I would always play like the mage type in any video game or like role-playing game. Like I was always the mage type. So that I wanted that magical world, which I think a lot of people do. But as life continued, and I've done many other things before opening up the academy, I it kind of shifted into, I guess, deeper levels of inquiry and curiosity. And I was running a dance company for several years, and the type of work that I was creating with my dance company was very mystical in nature. Like the questions we were asking, the concepts that we were exploring were actually very Vedantic, very non-dual, although I didn't know what Vedanta was at the time or non-duality but they just were. And several times I would teach dance, I would like guest teach somewhere and I would be kind of just speaking about concepts as they came to me, and I would turn around and nobody would be dancing. They would all be writing in their journal. So I was like, "Oh, there's something here that exists beyond just dance." And so philosophy, mysticism kind of developed, and then eventually I got not that I got bored with dance, but I realized that performance, dance, and ritual have a limitation. They can bring you up to like art can bring you up to a certain point, and they can create certain conditions for certain experiences. But I kind of was like, I need to go beyond this. And then art brought me up to where kind of pure mysticism picked me up. And so all past knowledge of the tarot and the Tree of Life and astrology started to be used more for a focus of mysticism, of union with the divine, or just practically finding deeper levels of peace. As someone who suffered from like depression and anxiety, like I've also wanted to end suffering. So whereas before when I was a kid, I was like, I want a magical world because it's fun, it became like, no, I really want to see if I can minimize or maybe even end my suffering. Does the stuff actually work? And it appeared to do so continuously more and more. So
Isn't that incredible? Because
yeah.
we like to think that it's just an upward trajectory, but there's that saying we can only go to the heights is the depths that we've gone. So you mentioned struggling with anxiety and depression, and I think there was some maybe a little bit of partying here and there.
Yeah, I was
Intensity,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, I was so lost, I guess it was a very I don't know, coming of age, figuring life out. But I definitely had several chapters of being quite lost. And I'm so grateful to those chapters because I got to experience things and indulge in things that helped me understand why people do what they do. And I'm an escapist. I have a lot of Pisces, and I think a lot of mystics have that escapist quality. And I used to escape with drugs and partying, and now, not that I escape with mysticism, but it's more of a transcendent thing. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely transcendent. And I wonder, I don't think you could have gone to these heights and brought it to the public in a palatable way if you weren't able to relate to people's journeys. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and speaking of accepting the everyone, you've chosen the Thoth Tarot. So, Aleister Crowley is certainly a person of interest. But the Thoth Tarot is so amazing. It's so dense and alchemical. It's uh but I'm wondering what first captivated you about it. Because you mentioned you started with the alchemical deck. Uh, so how did that draw you to then the Thoth deck? And how do you guide students, through the complexities of it without losing that sense of joy and wonder?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, I guess historically, I I was reading primarily with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and mostly Rider-Waite-Smith derivative style decks, which is a great system on its own. It's packed with such, great material. But I remember one day, like I had actually the Thoth deck was the third deck I ever got, and I got it as a kid. I wasn't older than like 12 or 13 years old, and I remember like getting this deck and being like, oh, this is one of the world's most popular decks. It's an Egyptian tarot. It's really deep. And not understanding the first thing about it, but like happy that I had it. And I remember like using the keywords. I would read for anyone that would let me. I would use the keywords to kind of try to read the cards. And there's like a 12-year-old kid reading like lust and like all this like crazy imagery and like Babylon. And anyway, so I was doing that, and then I didn't have a deep respect. Well, I had a respect for it, but I didn't understand it until many years later, when I was learning more about the history of tarot and mysticism and Aleister Crowley, and I was like, oh, so this is the deck that bad guy made. Oh my God, he's like the Lord Voldemort of like Western esotericism. So should I keep this deck or should I throw it out? I don't know. And then I kept it, and then as I learned more and more, eventually there was this moment of like, I'm ready for this. And the moment to me was specifically like I started to feel the numbers. It's like a synesthesia kind of thing. I started to feel the numbers of the tarot in my body or in color. It was kind of weird. Like the energy of the numbers was apparent to me as opposed to like, oh, 4 means stability. It was like, no, I can feel the stability of the number 4. And at that moment, I was like, I'm ready for the Thoth deck. Like I can do this. And so I opened up Book of Thoth and I read it 3 times. First time didn't know most of what was going. Well, actually, before that I was studying Kabbalah, so that was the big opening up for me, which I'm sure it was for you because as a rabbi, like that's oh my God, which is so exciting. We're chatting. But Kabbalah was like I started studying the Tree of Life and it felt like I was remembering something. It was like, oh, of course this makes sense. And then when I understood like Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, the tarot entered this whole new realm of meaning. I was like, oh my God, tarot is way more epic than I thought it was. And then after having some years of getting comfortable with the Tree of Life and Tarot, then I was like, I think maybe I'm ready for the Thoth Tarot, which is explicitly Kabbalistic. So Thoth Tarot is very Rider-Waite-Smith, not as much, but Thoth Tarot, as you know, like very explicit. It's a map of the Tree of Life. So when I felt ready to do that, I opened up Book of Thoth, started reading it with supplemental materials, and kind of the same thing started happening. It kind of felt like even though the concepts were so complicated, I kind of felt like I was either remembering them or there was like a comfort with them. It was like, I don't understand all of this, but there's something here that resonates deeply. And I think that happens a lot with my students when they come to TMA. A lot of times they'll say, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but this is what I know I'm looking for. But there's something that's calling me that I really feel like I need to explore. Same thing with me. And whatever we want to call that, the perennial wisdom or truth or the truth within us, it was calling me. And through the Thoth Tarot, it brought tarot to a whole nother level. So Kabbalah now smashed with all these other systems and Crowley's very unique developments and Thelema and sex magic and all these crazy things that I didn't expect ever to discover through tarot. And but the way that I help my students with this is I've developed a system where I teach tarot on 3 levels. So on its own, sometimes what students get frustrated with tarot, and one of the reasons why there's so many contradicting meanings and information about tarot is there's 3 kind of vantage points to approach it. One is very much focused on divination, one is focused on symbol and association, and then the third one is straight mysticism, which is an existential way of just looking at like reality itself more directly rather than through like symbolism and association. And so to help students really cover the Thoth Tarot, which in itself branches off into so many different areas, historically, psychologically, spiritually, um, I teach tarot on these 3 levels so that we have a very solid context from which to work and we know which layers we're working with. And then over time throughout the curriculum, as you know, like layer on different things so that people can go further and further and deepen. But yeah, it's a lifelong study, the Thoth Tarot especially.
And and that is what drew me to your teachings. I'm like, the tarot is connected to the tree of life. What? And the way you do it is so deep. And you would ask here and there, you didn't know if it related to traditional, and it does. You bridge it perfectly. It's brilliant. Okay, so you mentioned the Thoth tarot, but also the Rider-Waite is connected to it as well. I see it as connected to every single thing in the universe. So it's got to be every deck. But bring it back down to earth here. Is it connected to all the decks, or is it just mainly the Golden Dawn? So that would be the Rider-Waite and Thoth.
That's a great question. So historically, the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth Tarot were both not painted, but directed by 2 people that went through the Golden Dawn, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and so which was a cult group that focused on ritual magic and several other things in the late 1800s. So you have Aleister Crowley who went through that. You have Arthur Edward Waite who went through that. Now, though we don't know this for sure, but the chances are very high that both of them studied the tarot that was pretty much put together by MacGregor Mathers. And MacGregor Mathers and the modern tarot deck that best illustrates that is probably the Hermetic Tarot, which is based on the Golden Dawn imagery. But MacGregor Mathers really did a great remix on the tarot. He was like this weird genius. I don't know if he was like an enlightened person, but he was definitely a genius and interesting character. But he kind of developed that with the Golden Dawn system, also with Westcott and I always forget the third guy's name. But they were Rosicrucians, so they had the Rosicrucian background, and so they were like, "Hey, we found these mysterious papers. Let's start a new thing." Because that's what you do when you're a Freemason. You have time on your hands. You start a new esoteric society, do some ritual magic, have fun. Hey, why not? So that's what they did, and that system, which not again, it's only like in the late 1800s. you can definitely see it influencing the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth Tarot deck. Thoth Tarot is a little bit more explicit in maintaining the Golden Dawn tradition. The Rider-Waite-Smith is a little bit looser. You see elements of Solabusca and other tarot decks there. Pamela Coleman Smith, I think, had more free range over the Rider-Waite-Smith than maybe Lady Frida Harris did painting the Thoth deck. Which is so important to bring them up as well. In some ways, I think the Rider-Waite-Smith is almost more Pamela Coleman Smith than Arthur Edward Waite. I mean, she painted it and she was channeling, and I believe she was part of the Golden Dawn as well, though maybe didn't have access to the book T material that Waite was using. Um, but but yeah, it's so interesting. It is pretty contemporary, but I would argue that even before that, in the tarot tradition, the Marseille deck was pulling from ideas of alchemy, and it was developed in the 1400s, 1500s at the latest. And those ideas, like that culture in the Italian Renaissance, was very fixated on older philosophy and mysticism, Plato and Hermes Trismegistus and Hermeticism and alchemy. So there was that happening as well. It wasn't like necessarily synthesized like the Golden Dawn, but the content was there. So I like to remain open to the fact that those mysteries exist in there somehow. Because I mean, all the mystical misfits at the lunch table of the universe, we get together and we say, what are you working on? What are you looking at? And then they're like, oh, well, I'm checking out this thing. It's Hermes Trismegistus. We don't know. We think he was before Jesus, so we're gonna promote this. It's pretty cool. It's all, yeah, old is cool. In the Renaissance, they were like, the older it is, the more epic. So yeah, I think they were all talking. They were like jazz musicians. They would just riff off of each other's stuff and
Well,
yeah.
that's right around the time. So I'm just connecting this now. You mentioned the Marseille deck, 13th, 14th century. That's when the church started to officially incorporate the Tree of Life into its more
Wow.
esoteric knowledge. So it would make sense that all was happening around that time. So the Marseille may have been the door to that piece as well. Um,
Mm-hmm,
and so
hmm.
much more that you just mentioned. Um,
Yeah,
wow.
absolutely. Oh, that's cool. I never thought of that, but yeah, absolutely. Very cool.
Wow. Well, all of this work, all of this stuff that you're doing, yet you are a bit of an introvert, or a self-proclaimed introvert. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think for yeah, I think I've had chapters of my life that were much more extroverted, but I think I was just pretending, I mean, I can be extroverted, like I can teach a class and I love people and I love talking to people, but I think in general I'm a little bit more introverted, just who I am and what I default to.
Well,
Um,
a lot of performers are introverts, are classic introverts, and
mm,
they make the best performers, best teachers. And you with all that Pisces, and then you have a lot of Capricorn, so bringing it into the physical world. But yeah, you cherish. I know you've had this arc, and now you cherish your home, your partner, that beautiful partner you mentioned. Um, and your family above all. So, do you miss that extroverted life, or do you cherish those quiet, sacred spaces? Do they help you recharge? Do they help you infuse your work with that
I
genuine
I
authenticity?
do miss like when in my other lives, like when I was running a dance company or like spinning fire or like I do miss the community and the laughter. I mean, I still have that community with TMA, but that's like my professional life. So having like, I do miss that aspect. But as I've gotten older, I've just enjoyed traveling much less and less. And so it's just I guess the normal thing that happens. But yeah, I do really like being home. I really like, I am addicted to my iPad mini. It's so sad, but I love it. It's like my dopamine machine, but it's not just the dopamine. It's like I have all these books on here now, and it's like, I used to just read like my physical books, but it's like all the books are just right there. So when I can, I really like to read, and when I haven't been reading, I feel like I'm not. I want to keep myself sharp. I want to keep like learning, keep myself up to date. There's just so many things I want to go deeper in. So I like having that time for myself if possible.
Well, speaking of reading, I have your book right here. And
Awesome. Thank you.
It's brilliant. It is just brilliant. I will post some information about it at the end of the video. In the meantime, so much of what you talked about, I mean, it's in here, right? Brilliantly written. In fact, I just saw, can I read a short
Yeah,
paragraph?
sure.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
It's just chapter one. It sets it right there. Every detail in the tarot is an expression of one fundamental teaching. Every card, symbol, correspondence, association, number, letter, every pixel of the card itself, and every subatomic particle under that, and quantum mystery under that, is all without fail an expression of one teaching. The teaching is a singularity. One glimpse and you're done. Just like me watching one Joe video and I was done.
Mhm.
There's no return. This is the teaching of so many mystical traditions, the unity of all things. And that's so much of what you've been discussing. Um, your journey has been alchemical, incorporating all of these experiences into this unification experience.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
actually, you're talking about embodying the tarot, and I just remembered a story when you were surfing. I think it was one of your first kinesthetic experiences of embodying the tarot.
Oh, maybe longboarding. I was probably
Longboarding.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I'm not very good at, but I did enjoy for a while. Yeah, I just using like thinking about the energy of Taurus and the Hierophant and finding that stability and trust of the board on the earth. Yeah, there's a fun experiments I did in getting kinesthetic with tarot. Um, but yeah, I think the intro of the book, I really wrote Tarot Mysticism to be an entry point for people to look at tarot as a tool of mysticism, as opposed to what is more commonly expected of tarot as a tool of divination or personal reflection, which is great as well. But yeah, like for me, it's like if you keep going deeper in anything that you do, eventually it becomes mysticism because what could there possibly be but reality or God or the divine eventually, right? So it's like I'm always somebody who was like, well, can we go deeper? Can we go, what's under that? What's under that? What's under that? Um, yeah.
Oh, and that resonates with the meditation that you do,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The inside out meditation.
inside out
Um,
meditation.
that's been a good one. That was a fun one because I was studying like like a true psychonaut. I was like studying the Upanishads really in depth for a period of time, and it was like all the I had a student tell me that when I was teaching tarot before I was interested in Advaita Vedanta, she was like, "What you're teaching is very similar to Advaita Vedanta. You should check that out." And so some months later, I started to research into it, and I was like, "Oh, this is exactly what I'm. This is it. Like this is the direct fast track path to truth or peace or whatever you want to call it." And and then I started to have these deep levels of existential peace because I was reading all these Upanishads and listening to swamis, and I was like, I need to find a way to get here a little bit faster. And then I started meditating, and then the inside out meditation just kind of arose and became my natural practice to get there faster. And then the inside out meditation became, a canonized thing in the academy. But it's really fun for brains like mine, and a lot of my listeners are ADHD. They're very head tripping. They have lots going on in their minds. It's great for that because a lot of people have trouble meditating, but this method is not about shutting off your mind. So it's a different approach that allows the divine chaos of our minds to slowly relax over time.
Relax and come into the here and now to become aware of everything all at once.
Yeah, it's very the approach is a very and this is actually not something I teach in tarot mysticism. I right now I just teach this to the students directly, but it's almost a non-meditation. It's not so much a practice as it is a removing of all the practices going on automatically just with the world, with our sensations, our thoughts, our nervous system. There's so many things running automatically in the background. and they're important to be running, right? We want to stay alive. We want the heart to beat. We want to be breathing. But all the subconscious things that don't need to be running, gradually pulling, releasing those. And then what we return to is just the essential nature that was always there. So it's kind of like to talk about it temporally, it's like having a moment to exit time or pull out of time and rest in eternity and just recognize that the eternity that's simply there, not that you have to achieve that, but it's already there, recognizing that. And then when you go back into time, time and the world is much less stressful because it's just another layer on top of eternity.
Yeah. And having that awareness helps you become a channel really for healing energy. Did you intend that? Because part of your practice now, you've become a healer in addition to being a teacher.
Mm.
And you developed this meditation. You've also developed a profound healing technique, um, which I also really resonate with. It was so good. So was your journey with this, and I mean, intentional? And how has it impacted your relationship with tarot?
I think it not necessarily intentional, but always there was a seed of it always in me because I always, even when I was choreographing and dancing, there was always this urge to go beyond like the fabric of appearances. Like I remember think before I knew about the concept of Maya, the world of names and forms functions, like ideas about maybe this world is an illusion, Malkuth, the kingdom. Like before I had these ideas, I was curious about that. And so I think the seed was always there. How can I, through art, depict the calculus that we project onto reality that shapes meaning, right? How the mind can literally separate this microphone from my right hand from this water bottle. Like the ability of the mind to do that, I was like, this is crazy. And knowing that my mind is doing that made me start to realize, wait, all of this is an illusion. It's a real illusion. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's a very real illusion. So where does that put me? So I think the curiosity was always there, but I think what happened was I was doing a lot of healing work and learning different healing modalities and healed a lot of my own stuff. And I got to the point of pretty much having everything I wanted. Like I had the partner I wanted, the home I wanted, my financial reality is what I wanted. My family was doing well. Like on paper, everything was fine. And yet there was still a seeking. And I think the only thing that could answer that residual seeking was mysticism. And so going into like returning to tarot in this mystical context of um, what all these traditions talk about everywhere, every major religion, and eventually leads to that to this deeper inquiry. I just wanted to kind of harness that, faster and understand my own true nature. And so I kind of stumbled upon this meditation method, and with my students, when I started to teach them this, I remember the first time I did these techniques. I remember a student who had a lot of things going on, very like hurt in their nervous system, lots of trauma, and they told me like they were like they were almost afraid of how peaceful that they felt. They were like, this is the first time I felt this level of peace in so long. And there was still fear. There was still, we all have work to be done, but I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then start the students coming into the academy, they started to, and which was my favorite part, they started to actually be down to go that far, which is not easy to find. Like tarot is so popular for what it's expected to do, but not as many people know of how far it can reach. And so when I started having more students that were like really down to go, like much farther up the mountain with me, it was amazing. And even now, I just got an email the other day of a student who was saying, hey, I was doing the inside out technique, and I just want you to know, yes, it got me there. It got me to the place that I was trying to do with all these other methods. It works. And I was like, yes. And it's kind of the method of non-method, right? Because at some point there's nothing to do, right? There's just being, which is such a paradox. Um, but yet, even we know that that's the case. The world continues, and stuff can still suck, and there's still pain, and there's still so it's like having a practical way to get back into that sense of just simply being that stillness, that silence is like not just philosophically and mystically great, but practically it can be so helpful for people just to find that groundedness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you do it so well. It's your teachings are so clear and empathic. In fact, you pour everything that you are i- into your students, into your school, um, and into your team at the Tarot Mysticism Academy. So,
Mm.
what does giving your all look like in your day
Oh,
to day?
I have to say the team has been amazing. Ryan, Luigi,
Oh,
Melissa,
they're
Deb,
amazing.
Bridget, they are just phenomenal. They are such problem solvers, and they they're running a business is obviously hard and there's so many things to do, but they're just like there are problems that have been solved that would never be solved had they not been working with me um and noticing them and taking initiative. They're wonderful and they bring so many layers to the account because I have a lot of blind spots. I'm very neurotic. I'm very hyperfixated. I look at things and see specific things, but I don't see like the rest of the big picture sometimes. And they're so good at seeing the big picture and taking the action to make it even better and have completely transformed it. So I think through their support, it's allowed TMA to grow, not just like functionally as an institution, but as an academy, but in terms of the depth and in terms of taking like the level of comfort people have with going deeper and becoming more vulnerable and doing the deeper work, which is great. But yeah, I think in terms of what does it look like giving my all, I will admit I over the past couple months, I think I have not given my all, which is really interesting. Or maybe I have, but in a different way. I think in the past, like generally for the past 4 or 5 years, I've given my all to TMA, like create, like because when I was running it before, it was just me and I was doing like every department, and which wasn't sustainable. I guess every business owner experiences that at some point, but over the past year, I've gotten to relax a little bit, which I think has allowed the material and the content to go farther. And so when I'm teaching, I can really teach more from my heart. I mean, I always teach from my heart, but it's like I think I get to channel that more. And I think that's what people pick up on when they see my material. They can tell that I'm like teaching from a place of like deep imperfection and deep wounding and deep desire to grow and heal. And they understand that in themselves. And so I think that's on my better days, that's where I'm teaching from, I would say. And I have a big ego as well, and I've had like, not battles with my ego, but in a way, like I've had things with my ego where I'm not teaching from that heart place. And so I think when I'm not going all in, it's an egotistical thing and something to like notice, which can be very poisonous in this field, but it's an ongoing process, I guess. Because we live in the world and you need ego in the world. You need like confidence. And so there's this kind of balance of finding the Yesod and the Tiferet where it is, keeping it there, but being in the Keter as well, like all of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And ego is so important. Ego in balance is what helps us function. It
Mhm.
helps us, we incarnated for a reason. It helps us do that reason. And
Mm.
for you, part of that was creating Tarot Mysticism Academy. And I had the incredible joy and honor of interviewing one of your teachers. And he was my teacher too, Luigi. I
Mhm.
love Luigi so much. I just want to squeeze you guys. Um,
He's
and
wonderful. He is
yeah.
one of a kind. Yeah.
Yes. So you've created this foundation. You said you don't feel like you're giving your all, but in stepping back, like you hinted at, you are giving in a different way. You have to receive in order to give. You have to remain
Mhm.
full in order to be able to have something to offer. And as you
Mhm.
pull back, this incredible team that you've built that is in resonance with your vision, he talks about taking it global. So
Mhm.
that's going to happen. And you don't have to do every department, thank
Mhm.
goodness, for all
Mhm.
of us, because we need you happy and healthy.
Oh, thank you.
Right? So,
Yeah, I think what's happened recently is I think over the past couple months, the energy in the academy has shifted a lot, and a lot of students are much more open and willing to go into the more mystical side of tarot and that endless search of what the hell is going on here? What is this reality? Which it's so because it's what I've wanted for a couple of years now. Like starting a couple of years ago, I was like, all right, I'm teaching people tarot and they're learning these things, but people are still suffering. There's still these things. There's still the traumas. There's still limiting beliefs, and I want people to. And self-love is such a vast goal. And whenever I meet new students, I always find that in some way there's always this maybe a lot. I can't speak for everyone, but for so many people, there's a little bit lacking in the self-love area. But by definition, because we're identified with these aspects of ourselves that are limited, we have a limited body, we have limited time on this earth, we have a mind that's limited, we don't know everything. So of course you can't love something that's absolutely limited, but then you can in realizing, wait, this limitation that's showing up, which is a me amidst this infinite world, is actually nothing but this infinite, universe. And people, going, and that's a very hard step to take, very hard. I'm talking about it very easily, but it's a very existential leap of faith. Um, and I think, students are really starting to open up to that, which is so exciting. And when I talk with students, it's hard. It's almost like, mystics are like ninjas, like they know who each other, like it's like, or thieves, right? Thieves can identify each other without any words. It's kind of like that. I'm starting to see just the way people look at me, the way they speak of things. I'm like, yeah. And a lot of people talk about breaking away from the matrix. And I think for a lot of people, that's a cultural matrix. Like they're breaking away from their conditioning. And I think that's totally fine and has a place. But what I'm starting to see my students do is they're breaking away from this, like the more existential matrix of like, oh, like I actually am starting to like recognize this unlimited nature that we all share in. I mean, and that's my favorite part. Because then you're untouchable. Then it doesn't matter what neuroses or things that happen to you. A lot of people that come to tarot have rough lives, and that's why they come to tarot. And this understanding, it kind of nullifies all that. Um, at least it appears to for now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I think, yeah.
I think you're right. I think everyone on some level is seeking
Mm,
a mystical insight and healing. A healer heal thyself.
mhm, mhm.
Um, when I went into psychology, we discovered, yeah, most of us are in there trying to heal ourselves. And
Can
tarot's
I
no
ask?
different. Hmm.
Yeah, can I ask you a question about that? Because you've done so many things, rabbi, artist, energy healer, somatic work, the psychology, like many, many hats. Like, what, what, what is your journey like having all those hats, having all those bodies of knowledge, all that expertise, all those different ways of looking at the world? What's that like for you?
Well, one thing it does, Joe, dear Joe, is it helps me recognize someone who's actually teaching truth.
Hmm.
And that is what I could see in you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I was blessed with a near-death experience when I was 9 years old. And well, but don't get me wrong, that didn't stop me from going down and back up. Similar stories to you. I've been clean and sober for 38 years now.
Amazing. Congrats. Oh, wow. I didn't know if I knew that. That's wonderful.
But
Wow.
yeah, so all those things do help me identify, I believe, not always.
Mhm.
Um, wanting to see the good in people, I do get sidetracked here and there. But as far as core truth, as far as core teachings, yeah, that's why I meant it. First video I saw that you did, I'm like, he gets it. He
Mm.
gets it. And it was time for me to learn it. So I'm so grateful that I was able to attend your school.
I'm so grateful as well. I mean, it was so great. I mean, meeting you. It must have been a year or longer now. I met
Yeah.
you ago, but yeah, and just being like, oh my God, she's doing. And that's another thing I love about teaching is, I teach, but I teach teachers. Like when people like you come to the school, it's like you're coming with all this knowledge and experience and wisdom from many areas, both spiritual, both religious, culturally, psychologically, clinically. Like there's just so much. And it's so great to have people that be like, and I think people like us, as we're like the teachers that never stop learning. Like we're always like wanting to learn the next thing and grow even more, even though we've amassed so many things. It's just the archetype. Sometimes I compare it to the wounded healer archetype because we love healing ourselves. We love helping other people heal. And so we're always, learning more and more. But yeah, it's so inspiring to watch you and other students take your expertise that you already have and then jump into TMA and see the connections and run with it. It's really amazing. It's so cool.
I appreciate that. I really, really do. And speaking of, I mentioned your book. I showed your book. Here it is again, Tarot Mysticism. It's such a milestone. But what inspires you to finally put pen to paper? Because we've talked about all these experiences, all these things you've built and done. This takes so much work. It's not a thin book, see? It's a lot of work. And it's not fluffy. It is deep, it is intricate, it is amazing. So, yeah, what inspired you to put pen to paper?
I think so. The book was written in three different like chapters of my life. It was written over a period of 6 years, but not consistently. So with that, there's kind of like three different voices in the book. But I started it, and I don't know why, like the specific reason why I started it, but I was thinking like, oh, I should probably write a book because I have a lot of information, and I can talk about mysticism. Like one of the th feedback I get commonly is like people tell me that I take complicated ideas and explain them simply. And I was like, it's probably useful to write a book, especially because in 5 or 10 years from now, I might be totally bored of this. So let me consolidate a lot of my knowledge into a book so that I have it here so that people can gain value from it if I like stop doing this or if I forget. I also once I lost my memory for a few days, which is a totally different story. So I thought about that too. I was like, I should write down everything, like what, not everything I know, but what I know that will help people in case I lose my memory again. So anyway, so I wrote this book. I started writing it and then I kind of stopped. And I meant for the book to be like a personal growth guide using just the major arcana. And so it kind of just sat for a couple of years. And then I had another like binge of writing, and then I kind of just sat for a couple of years. And then I was talking with Ethany, who runs the Tarot Readers Academy, which another academy. She's great. Her academy is great. Ethany's wonderful. And she has a YouTube channel. And Ethany was saying, Joe, you should, if AI is coming out, and if you have a book in you, you should get it out there. And I was like,
Mm.
okay. And Ethany's was somebody I respected for. So I still respect somebody like somebody that inspired me for so long. I remember before I was teaching tarot, watching her on YouTube years ago. She was a huge inspiration to me. And so I'm like, well, Ethany says it, so hell yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I was like, let me write this book, and then got connected to Llewellyn. And I think the thing that obviously forced me to finish it, luckily, was the book deal. So I didn't have a choice. I had to finish it, which was so helpful having that deadline to actually finish this thing. And originally it was just the major arcana, but Barbara from Llewellyn was like, you should really write the minor arcana, make it a whole thing. I was like, okay, so I'll do that. So with her guidance and their guidance, luckily it went from like a really chaotic, like, I don't know, uh, thing of lots of information to an organized book that hopefully makes sense to people. Like in the beginning, I didn't even have an introduction. I didn't have footnotes. It was like a mess. So they really helped me bring it all together. So I'm very grateful to them.
Me too. I don't know the story about the memory loss.
Really shared, but I lost my memory for 3 days. It was like this total psychotic episode, probably one of the scariest things that ever happened to me. And it was definitely semi-drug induced, and this was years ago. And yeah, it was really wild, and it's very frightening. Have you ever seen the movie Memento?
No.
Oh, it's a funny movie about a guy who has all these tattoos, and he has the tattoo because every day he loses his memory, and the tattoos remind him of who he is. So it was kind of like that. I would like wake up and I would like look at my tattoos and be like, "Who am I?"
Oh my God.
Um, but it was also like these things are. It was like a blessing as well,
Mm.
because what it allowed me to do was, and I think it was like a one of the pivotal moments in my development was it allowed me to distance myself from my body and my mind, which is a very challenging thing to do. I mean, there is no distance between the two, but like if we're looking at it from this plane, it's like, okay, yeah, there we can talk about it in that way. And when I recovered from that and started doing meditation, that like I call it the void, it never like really left. Like it's like it's always it's never far away now, now that that happened.
Yeah.
Now to my mind, that's very frightening and scary. But to truth, it's it's just reality. It just is what it is. Because at that place, there's nothing to lose in the void. There's nothing to lose when everything blurs and melts into one. Um, and so I think that helped me recognize that that which was continuing beyond the memory loss, that's what my real nature is, and that's what everyone's real nature is. And kind of set me up for success in terms of my spiritual development. Really
You know, what
shared,
blows
but
me away right now is I mentioned I had a near-death experience at the age of 9. What you just described may not have been a clinical NDE, but it was the same effect. It was a
huh?
very similar revelation.
Was that similar to you as well?
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the outcomes
Yeah.
is what you just described, an awareness of self outside of Maya, outside of of all of this, and it really cracks something open and you're able to start seeing your true essence.
Isn't that the best way I can describe it to people? I'm a geek, so I play video games sometimes, but it's almost like I felt like when I was back in my body,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, this is an avatar in a video game. And it's yeah, it's like
Yeah.
unfamiliar but kind of familiar, but whatever, I'll work with it. It's cool. It's like, oh, I got hands. Okay, I got eyes. I'll work with it. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, wow. Great. Well, from that experience and from that book, and yeah, from that deadline that got you to complete the book and all the inspirations in between, is there a particular nugget? Is there a particular revelation, a particular exercise that um, you would want to share with our viewers right now?
One thing I've actually I like to monitor and see how like the information affects people and what value they get out of it. And one thing that's been showing up a lot lately, I've been getting emails about the I am exercise, which I don't remember exactly where I teach it in the book, but I think I teach it in when I introduce these three levels of understanding. And people have gotten a lot of value from this specific meditation where you simply sit and it's kind of like you're going up the plains or going, you might compare it to going up the tree of life, maybe not, but you just kind of sit where you are and you say, okay, I am Joe, I'm sitting in my office. Okay. Or I am sitting in my office. And then you pull into the more subtle or symbolic or abstract plane where you say, well, who am I really? I am Joe. You know, I am a learner, I am a teacher, I'm a student, I'm all these different things. But then you pull back even from that and say, well, what's under that? And it's just I am. And then you come back to that I am, you know, hey, yeah, you be with that. And then from that, you even drop the I am. And then when you drop the I am, the incommunicable silence that's left is even closer to your real nature. So I think that's helping other people distance themselves from their own bodies and minds. Um,
So that's key, getting a distance from our own bodies and minds. Why? Why? To be aware that there's something else? What?
so
So,
I think so that we can wear them better and with more fun, like costumes, right? So, like if we're identified with the costume, it's October 30th, so Halloween's tomorrow, so this is appropriate. When we're identified with the costume, you know, we are that creature or whatever we are, or the vampire or the whatever. But when we know it's a costume, we can we can play it and have fun with it, and then take it off when it's time to take it off, which we all have to do anyway, eventually. So,
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I've often heard it said that death is just like taking off an article of clothing and then you put another one on.
yeah. I mean, you definitely be the person to ask. So what was that like for you in your NDE?
Oh, bliss. Home with the capital H.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So very hard to come back, but yeah, the wordless offering I was given in an instant was you can come home, your karmas are up. Although I certainly don't feel like it right now. But your karmas are up for this lifetime. But then I was able to feel the pain that my parents would have felt had I left. So I chose to
Oh,
stay. But most people that have had NDE say the same thing. It's not real fun when you choose or it's not your time and you come back. It's yeah. So something to look forward to in its time. And in the meantime,
wow.
the blissful teachings and experiences and learnings we get to have, let's cherish them every single minute.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many teachers, friends, people, students I've learned from, like I'm so grateful for all the things I've learned from all those people. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And you've encapsulated it with Tarot Mysticism Academy. It's not just a school, it's a transformative haven for
Um,
all of us mystical misfits, as you call us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the community is really what has kept it going, especially, I when I started the academy, and that's so consistent. People come obviously to learn, but they don't always expect the community, and it's like there it's so inspiring to see people just going this deep and asking these questions and putting in the time and effort and the courage that it requires and work, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of things to study, but putting in all of that and then having these experiences with each other and discussing them, and a lot of people realize like, oh my God, I'm not crazy because you all have this experience too. It's like, oh, it's lovely. It's so lovely. It's so, yeah, it's
It
great to be a
is.
part of. I'm so grateful to everyone.
Ah, and definitely incredible gratitude all around. And what's one unexpected way that all of this has changed you as much as you've helped change your students?
I think with every bit of growth, the shadow has to grow as well or be integrated as well.
Mm,
So and I've done a lot of healing and a lot of personal growth work. And every time TMA grows or I grow or something happens, I just have to deal with the shadow part of that. And so, as somebody like, I still have these echoes from the past, these like insecurities and overthinking and like perfectionism, and they grow, and it's like, and then it's just there, and then I have to like, but I think remembering to apply all the things that I teach, all the things that I've learned from my mentor and other sources, just as I'm, new levels, new devils. So just remembering to apply all of that, um, and yeah, a deep level of trust, um, letting go of control. That's another big one. Letting go of control and being present to things growing in the way that the universe wants, the way that people want,
mm.
as opposed to being like directing everything. So I have Jupiter in Virgo, so it's like I like to put my trust in perfection and really fine tune things and being like detail and but letting go, and in those moments, like sometimes the best things do happen. Yeah.
Truly, truly. Oh, Jupiter in Virgo to do all this, put all this together. Oh, it makes so much sense. Meant to be.
Mm.
So you've got the book, you got the academy, you've got an incredible foundation in family, students. Um, what's whispering to you next?
There's a few projects that one thing I really want to do for because I'm getting this requested a lot is the free ebooks that I have. People really enjoy those, and they've been asking for physical versions of those.
Mm,
So without like, well, I guess I already jinxed it, but I would like to start to produce more physical copies of some of my content in some way. Um, I just think that's what people are looking for on that side of things. But there's definitely other projects that I'm really excited to start, but I haven't really had the bandwidth to start yet. But I think, I mean, I'm very much still on my journey. I have a long road ahead, a lot of work to do, a lot of healing to do, and a lot of like study, and I'm really happy to be part of that, and be, exploring with my students. So I think continued learning, continued growth, and then a couple of those projects definitely will hopefully happen soon.
Oh, they will. Yeah, by the way, as a part of the school, you mean those books? I don't know how many books from attending the school, all these booklets and files upon files on my computer. Are those the ones you mean?
Um, First, well, I'm thinking eventually those, yes, those as well. But I might start with some of the free versions, which are much smaller and simpler than those,
Mm.
and see how people kind of enjoy that. But I would like to do physical versions of the official TMA books as well. But I also need to, they have to be like, they've gone through very many phases of editing, but I'm like, I am the worst editor. And believe it or not, I'm sure you've probably found many typos and things. Like, I'm so chaotic with my, like, we've put them through many revisions, but there has to be one like master revision, and bringing together of all the materials and like color code it, because things are much more color coded now with the four worlds with the four different colors and the three levels. And so I would love for that to happen and just have like a series of material for people to just enjoy and physically touch and look through. And yeah,
That's a great
well,
idea. And it's a great idea to focus on that as your team helps to take this global.
hmm.
So, thank you so much for your time, your inspiration. Any f final words? How do people get in touch with you? You do private readings as well in the midst of all this.
Yeah, so to find more information, tarotmysticismacademy.com is probably the best place. My YouTube channel, if you go to YouTube and search Joe Monteleone, you'll find all my content there. So I have a lot of free classes, and when I do teach and I guest teach or like do guest speaking, I do usually record them and then I release them on YouTube. So I have a lot of classes that help people with tarot, mysticism, various things. And then well, tarotmysticismacademy.com/e-books has all of our free material and downloads. And then any like other social media besides YouTube, my name is usually just Tarot with Joe. Yes.
Tarot with Joe. Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you can.
Jordania, thank you so much for having me. It's always great chatting with you, and thanks for everything that you do, all the things you will do that I'm so excited for. I know you have some many amazing plans, and yeah, you've been such a positive impact on my world, and it's an honor to get to work with somebody like you with all of your expertise and all of your experience. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks so much for having me. This was so fun.
Oh, thank you. All right.